The summer sun burned bright over the small town of Brooksville, its golden rays dancing on cracked sidewalks and glinting off dusty windows. In the corner of a quiet street, nestled between a faded laundromat and a mom-and-pop grocery, stood Tony's Auto Shop, a humble garage that smelled of grease, old leather, and hope. 8-year-old Lila sat on a worn stool just outside the open bay doors, swinging her legs and clutching a peanut butter sandwich. Her dark curls were pinned back with butterfly clips, smudges of oil on her overalls like little badges of honor. Lila's father, Tony, was a local legend, not because he was rich or famous, but because he never turned away anyone in need. If you had a busted radiator or a broken heart, Tony would help fix both, with tools in one hand and empathy in the other. That morning, Lila's world shifted. It began with a sound, a throaty, thunderous purr. Not the usual rumble of pickup trucks or sputtering sedans. No, this was sleek. Aggressive. Alive. Lila turned her head just in time to see it, a blood-red Ferrari 812 superfast pulling into the shop's gravel lot like a lion entering a barnyard. It gleamed under the sun, the paint so flawless it looked like molten glass. The car was everything her father's garage wasn't: polished, perfect, untouchable. The driver stepped out with the confidence of a man who'd never been told no. He was tall, in his mid-40s, dressed in a tailored blue suit despite the heat. His name, as they'd learn soon, was Damian Cole, a Silicon Valley tech mogul visiting town for a business retreat at the nearby lakeside resort. Tony wiped his hands on a rag and approached with his usual friendly smile. "Beautiful machine," he said. "How can I help you today?" Damian barely looked at him. "It's making a clicking noise on the front left. Probably a pebble or something. Just take care of it, fast." He tossed the keys onto the nearby workbench like he was throwing away a receipt. Lila, wide-eyed and entranced by the car, stood from her stool and crept closer. She had never seen a Ferrari in real life before. The curves, the shine, the engine purring like a giant cat, she couldn't help herself. She reached out, just one small finger, and touched the hood. It was warm. It hummed. "Hey! What the hell do you think you're doing?" The roar of the man's voice made Lila jump back like she'd touched fire. Damian stormed toward her, his face redder than his car. Tony rushed between them. "Sir, she's just a kid, my daughter. She didn't mean." "I don't care." Damian barked. "You think I bought a $400,000 car to let a greasy little mechanic's brat smudge it up? You people don't understand value." The words cut deeper than he realized. Lila's lip trembled. She didn't cry, not yet. She looked up at her dad, whose jaw tightened as he gently moved her behind him. Tony's voice was low, even. "Sir, I suggest you take your business elsewhere." Damian scoffed. "Gladly. I'll be leaving a review too. Don't expect to see anyone from the resort coming here again." He yanked the keys, slid into his Ferrari, and drove off in a fury of smoke and pride. Lila stayed quiet that night. Tony made her grilled cheese, her favorite, but she just picked at the crusts. He kissed her forehead and told her not to worry, that some people let their money talk louder than their hearts. "But why did he hate me?" she asked softly. Tony paused, then knelt beside her. "He didn't hate you, sweetheart. He just forgot how to be kind." 2 days later, a tow truck rolled into Tony's lot. On the back, the same Ferrari, hood dented, tire flat, and the driver's door scratched. The tow driver handed over a note from the resort: "Owner requests no interaction. Fix car. Bill sent directly to management." Tony stared at the wreck inside. Work was work. He rolled up his sleeves. Lila watched from her corner, quieter than usual. She didn't speak to the car. Didn't go near it. She was afraid. But the next day, curiosity overcame fear. She sat a few feet from the Ferrari, watching her dad pop the hood. "Is it broken?" she asked. Tony glanced at her, smiled. Just a little bruised. Even the fanciest cars can break down. Lila thought for a moment, then said, "Do you think people are like that too?" Tony looked at her, really looked at her, and nodded. Yeah. People too. Meanwhile, at the resort, Damien wasn't having a good time. His meetings were tense. His laptop was stolen from his suite. His carefully crafted world, run on control and image, began to fray. But it was something else that truly haunted him. A memory. That little girl's face, frightened, small, confused. Not angry. Not vengeful. Just, hurt. He didn't sleep much. The next afternoon, against his better judgment, Damien drove back, this time in a rental, wearing jeans instead of silk. He didn't expect what he found. Lila was drawing with chalk on the sidewalk outside. Her latest piece. A child's version of a race car with flames and smiling headlights. When she saw him, she froze. Tony stood slowly, wiping his hands. "Didn't expect to see you again." Damien's voice was quieter now. "Neither did I." There was a long pause. Then Damien did something that surprised them both. He knelt down to Lila's height. "I was wrong," he said. "You didn't deserve how I treated you. I was angry. At the world. At things that had nothing to do with you." Lila looked up at him cautiously. "You yelled." "I know. And I'm sorry." She studied him for a second, then asked, "Did your Ferrari get hurt because it was angry too?" Damien blinked. Then smiled, really smiled, for the first time in weeks. Maybe it did. The days that followed were strange in the best way. Damien kept coming back. At first, it was just to check on the car. Then to ask Tony questions. Then to bring Lila a small bag of chalk in every color. He even knelt beside her once and drew a lopsided sun. He laughed when she called it the saddest sun in the sky. Tony watched this with quiet skepticism. People like Damien didn't change. But then, one evening, the tech mogul stayed late. He rolled up his sleeves, got under a beat-up Jeep with Tony, and listened, really listened, as the older man talked about how he built the garage from nothing after his wife passed. "I didn't know how to raise a daughter on my own," Tony said, voice thick. "But I figured if I could fix engines, I could try and fix a life too." Damien looked down at his own hands, now stained with oil. "I've built things my whole life," he whispered. "But never something that loved me back." The emotional climax came one rainy Saturday. Tony collapsed. A silent heart attack. Too much stress, too much pressure, too many years of putting others first. Lila was terrified. The ambulance took him. The hospital was an hour away. No relatives. No backup. Damien didn't hesitate. He scooped Lila into his arms, wrapped her in his coat, and drove like a man with something to lose. He stayed by Tony's hospital bed. Called the best doctors. Paid for every cost, no questions asked. 3 days later, when Tony opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Lila asleep in Damien's lap, a half-finished chalk drawing clutched in her hand. When Tony returned home, things weren't the same. They were better. Damien offered to renovate the shop. No strings attached. He said it wasn't charity. It was gratitude. "I didn't know people could change me," Damien said one evening as he helped repaint the garage walls. "But your daughter touched more than my car that day. She touched something I thought was dead." Tony put down his brush. "She just showed you what you forgot." Years passed. The garage grew. So did Lila. By the time she was 18, she was designing engines and applying for scholarships. Damien funded her full ride to MIT, calling it the Lila Cole Mechanical Genius Grant. She protested the name. He said tough luck. On the day she left for college, she hugged her dad, then turned to Damien. "I touched your Ferrari," she grinned. "And now I'm touching the stars." He laughed, eyes wet. "Just don't forget to visit a sad old man once in a while." Epilogue. Brooksville still remembers the day the red Ferrari pulled up. But they don't talk about the outburst anymore. They talk about what happened after. They talk about how a little girl's small, innocent touch taught a man with everything that he'd been missing, the most important thing of all. Because sometimes, the smallest hands leave the deepest marks. And sometimes, the engine that needs fixing is your own. Please my YouTube channel, subscribe me.